to try to get somebody else to go with me who don't know God. Let me help somebody. Because you do know that no good thing, I'm scared to say that, no good thing will the Lord withhold from. High five your neighbor, say no good thing. If it's good for me, it's coming my way. If it's bad for me, it's getting out of my way. But if it's good for me, it shall come to pass. Let me help you. Let me help you. He says, be peaceful and not prideful. Watch this. Jesus says, he says something that he's preparing the disciples for a ministry that is larger than the one in Samaria. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Can I help you with something? See, I'm scared to say this. When you quietly withdraw, God will, as he did for his disciples, this is crazy, move them from Samaria, local small-minded people ministry, to a Matthew 28 worldwide. You missed what I just said. Say, neighbor, I ain't got to stay in Samaria when the world is before me, when God's got something bigger than where I've been. I'll let your neighbor say, Samaria was too small-minded. Say, why stay in Samaria when he'll tell me in Matthew 28, go you there for? And teach all nations. But he says, I'm moving you to one larger than the one in Samaria. And he says, I'm sharing with you this, that when you're making the tough decision, it's really not moving on, which is the tough decision, but the tough decision is this: never carrying the residue of rejection with you. See, you got to tell your enemies, I don't even want your dust to be on my shoe, end up in my closet, and create a dust bowl that I got to vacuum up later. I want you out of me now. Let me help somebody. Jesus says, shake the dust. I think you like that. Just shake the dust off your feet. Leave behind or separate yourself from what has already scarred you. Let me say it another way. Don't allow what has scarred you before to scar you again. You hurt me before. No. You hurt me. I ain't gonna give you another chance to go with me to my new blessing. And hell, I learned my lesson from you the last. Come here. You cannot allow your disappointment to become the distraction that further delays your destiny. Oh, y'all ain't get that. Let me rewind that thing. Do not allow your disappointment to become the distraction that further delays your destiny. You've been delayed long enough. Can I speak that into about 15 people's life? If I'm talking to you, tell yourself, say, self, you've been delayed long enough. It's time to take off. It's time to walk into your season. It's time to go where God has called you. You've been discouraged and disappointed long enough. Don't bring that residue with you. As a matter of fact, you don't want the residue to become a shadow that you are never able to move from under. The problem that many of us face with moving on is we have the tendency to bring much of what we are trying to get away from with us. And it's not just the mental scars that we bring with us. Sometimes we bring flesh with us, and we do it when we leave, but we never forget preach, Dwayne Debnam. When you shake the dust off your feet, what you must do is refuse to let some stuff settle in your spirit. Shaking the dust off your feet means you are separating yourself, which means for most of us, what we must do more than just leave is we must also forgive. There it is. Say, neighbor, forgive. Say, I dare you to forgive some people. Because if I don't forgive or separate myself, what I am really doing is just taking some old pains to a new address, which means that what had me there will have me here. But if I shake the dust off my feet and I really separate myself and even go as far as forgiving you, you have nothing on me and I have nothing on you. It means that I have really moved on and not just away. Many of us carry the dust with us because we move away, but we don't move on. High five your neighbor, say, I'm moving on. I ain't just moving away, I'm moving on. And that's a word for somebody in this house who is still staying up late at night, wrestling with, struggling with, and crying over something or somebody in your past. You got to find a way to move on and separate yourself. If it means forgiving somebody, then forgive them and move on. If it means forgiving yourself, forgive yourself and move on. If it means apologizing to somebody, do it and move on. If it means changing some old ways, do it and move on. Too often, many of us move away from some people, places, and things, but we never move on. Jesus says, disciples, if they don't want you, appreciate you, love you, and celebrate you, don't expend your energy. Your time is too valuable. Don't use your anointing and your time fighting them, but shake the dust off your feet and move on. If I'm talking to you, say, self, it's time to move on, because when you move on, God will open up the door to your next opportunity. Have I got a witness? Your new season, God will open up the door that the devil did not want you to see. But how many of you know that what God has for you, it really is for you? If I'm talking to you, and the antics of the devil cannot keep you from what God has for you. Who am I talking to? Say, neighbor, he talking to me right now. I ain't gonna let the devil, his imps, or his friends to keep me from my destiny. I've got too much future before me to get stuck in my past. As a matter of fact, I ain't got the energy, I ain't gonna use the time, I ain't gonna waste the money to use it on people who don't like me, who don't love me. I'm packing up, I'm moving on, and watch, I'm starting all over again. Is there anybody in the sanctuary who needs to thank God right that he'll give you the power, he'll open up the door, he'll give you the blessing, he'll give you the breakthrough to move where folk don't want you to say, neighbor, I'm going. No, grab, say, neighbor, I'm going. No, say, neighbor, I said I'm going. No, you say, no, say, you don't get it. I'll talk to myself. I'll start my own business, sing my own song, dance in my own house, pray in my own prayer closet. If you don't love me, so what? I've come too far from where I started from to let you and your nonsense. Let me help somebody. Watch this, watch this. Poke your neighbor and say, you know what? You know what? I am too deep for some folk. Say, I am too holy for some folk. I am too anointed for some folk. I am too blessed to let some folk stress me out. Let me. Say, neighbor, if you only knew what God's been showing me, and I've been fighting people instead of embracing my destiny. I ain't got time to fight. I want to be blessed. Let me help somebody. If I'm talking, you say, neighbor, you know what? The devil could be so mad that I came to church today because I ain't leaving here the same way that I can. Say, the devil could be so so mad that anybody thank God that you pressed your way to church today to hear what God has to say? Let me get out of here.